Because of my traumas in my childhood and the things that happened to me when I turned 18, I gave him the middle finger and said, I don't have to deal with this anymore. And I went out and I turned to drinking to cope. I said those words for so long. You don't know me. You don't know what I went through. You have no idea. I'm not alone in my story. I have learned that I'm not the only one. The statistics on the reservation are scary and sad. But I know that me growing and me healing can set that ripple effect, can show people hope. And that's everything I do right now. I can move forward and grow together. We're in this together.
Welcome to Live Well, Be Wise, the podcast that deepens the well-being conversation, finding the gold in your stories of hardship and the connection to wise action and lived wellness.
We are your hosts, Dorinda Carlson
and Kari Lyons-Price. In today's episode, friends, we sit down with Naomie Peasley, a Colville Tribal member from the Okanogan Valley. She shares about her life growing up on the reservation, surviving abuse, poverty, generational trauma, and her own alcoholism. With a non-native mom and a tribal member father, she tells what it was like to straddle both worlds. We talk about the unique struggles of a people who carry so much pain and trauma, knowing how and when to honor that pain and when to move forward with empowered choices to heal and prosper in healthy communities. Naomie is a survivor, a teacher, a beacon for hope, and she shows us how it's possible to move from victimhood to accountability, one day at a time. Her superpower is eliminating excuses for people who need help, but can't quite seem to see the path or walk the path she now walks. Listeners, this conversation is real. We talk about the colonization of the Native American people in our region. Yes, this may land hard, yet if there's anyone who can give us hope, it's Naomie. Her story will remind you of what potential lies in us all. Trust me when I say you won't want to miss her message for us today. We're so honored and excited today to welcome into the studio Naomie Peasley. She is a new friend and neighbor. She lives in Okanogan County. So welcome to the show, Naomie.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yes, I do live a bit of ways. However, I work here. I went to college in Wenatchee. I called Wenatchee my home for years. So I still feel that way a lot of the time.
Yeah. And I bet you come down here to shop.
Yeah, this is Wenatchee's the big city when you live in a lot.
Yeah.
This is definitely a gathering place in so many levels and so many cultures. Wenatchee Valley was one of those places. So,
Well, tell us just a little introduction as to who you are in the world.
When we first met, I'm like, what hat do you want me to put on right now?
Yeah. You just read my mind because I was going to say you wear so many hats. You're a mom.
Yeah, that's the most important one. I'm a mom. I think that all the time, like that's my purpose. I didn't know what it was for so long, what my purpose was in life. And then I didn't want it. I didn't want to be a mom when I was younger. Like I could never be a mother. I didn't change a diaper or hold a baby till I had my first child. Like it wasn't going to happen. That wasn't in my cards, mostly because of my childhood. But then my first daughter came along and God blessed me with that. And that's who I am now. And that's what I made bumpy roads, make mistakes, things happen. But now I know that that's what I'm here for. And that's my purpose is to raise two amazing human beings so that I can break those generational traumas so that I can give to the world two amazing humans. And I'm so blessed. I know I'm getting emotional.
My heart is swelling.
Like when I drive, that's where I think a lot. I do lots of my overthinking driving, and I travel a lot for work or for their sports events or whatever it might be. So I've been, I have a 17, 15-year-old daughters, Pepper and Addison, and I've just been reflecting a lot on my parenting. I experienced this past weekend a girl outside of a gym, and she was crying and on the phone, and she's on my daughter's team. I didn't know her name, and my mama heart was like, oh, what's going on with this girl? And got off the phone and explained to me why she was crying and what she was going through. And it just made me reflect like, man, I need to be a better parent. Like what she's talking about, I know I've done to my kids. I know I've been hard on them. I know. And I went to the car immediately. The girls were waiting and I immediately apologized. Like, I'm sorry, girls. But I wrote that letter. I was talking to my chat GBT as I'm overthinking and like, help me put this into words. And I wrote them a letter this morning apologizing. Like, I'm trying to be better. Yeah. Anyway, Mom, that's the number one thing.
Can I offer a thought on that? You said overthinking. And earlier when we were chatting before we were recording, I was saying it was your process time.
Yeah.
So I'd like to reframe that for you.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was beneficial for you to, overthink, but it brought a silver lining.
It does. And yes, processing. I'm trying to do that. That was part of my processing today on the drive, was taking negative experiences, negative thoughts, negative things that have happened to me. I can pop those up in my head immediately.
Sure.
Or when somebody says, you look beautiful today, I'm like, whatever, what are you talking about? But accepting those positives, turning the negative thoughts that are in my head, like overthinking, which people think is negative, into processing. I'm really, really trying better to turn things into a more positive light, to reframe the brain work. That's what I'm listening to in that book, is like, it's always been negative, always been trauma. This is who I am. This is how it defines me, as my childhood trauma or whatever I've been through. But no, there's a time where I have to make a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to flip the script. What is happening? I have the choice to look at this negative or process it and be positive. So thank you for that. Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
You just gave me chills. We have a choice.
Put a bookmark right there, just to kind of know a little bit about who you are and even how you came. Let's go back and then walk back toward this choice idea. Maybe there's a story in your life that would illustrate that, like to be empowered by choice.
Can I read something really quick?
Yeah.
Okay. I write. That's when I wake up at 1 a.m. and processing things. I write to get it out. Here's something I wrote. No one knows my story. They may think they do, think they know the why or the how. They may even know a small moment. And more times than not, those people come to the conclusion that I am that moment of need or desire, stupidity, anger, or sadness. Despite those minutes, even seconds, I've decided they define me. But those moments do not define me. I know that now, and my story does. And I have a long one to tell. I am a storyteller now. Will you listen?
Yes, we will.
I'm like a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher in a classroom for a long time, but kids change. Things are different. I've changed. Society's changed. So I don't know if I can be a classroom teacher anymore, but English, creative writing. And one of the fun lessons that I've learned when teaching writing, helping kids with their college entrance exams, I think of it in my life now that way. There is the beginning where you're weak, where you don't know what to do, where you don't know how to train, where you don't know what you want.
You don't know.
You just don't know. There's the beginning. And then there's the middle of your essay that you're writing, or the middle of your life where you are building muscle. You're hitting the weight room. You're eating right. You're doing your protein drinks. You're being outside. You're doing all those healthy things. And then you're building. And then there's the end, and that's the result. And I feel like I'm in the middle of the building part. I'm in the middle of my life where I just stopped being the beginning, defining myself by the world I was born into. And I was born on the reservation, Omak, Washington, born and raised. I remember my earliest memories was living in HUD housing on the res.
This is the Colville res.
The Colville reservation, yeah. I remember an accident very clearly. A drunk driver hit my mom and I. I remember that. I remember I was sitting, I wasn't in a car seat. I remember that. I remember my first Easter in a little yellow dress I got. And I was like, where did this dress come from? The Easter Bunny must have money because it's so beautiful. And it had a little white hat with a yellow ribbon to match it. I also remember my biological father throwing my mom through the closet because I wouldn't drink my medicine when I was sick. I also remember her crying a lot. My biological dad and my mom separated, came home, and my mom and I, my grandma and my brother came home, and there's a big party going on at the house. Lots of people, campfires in the driveway, drinking. My mom went inside. It was dark. And she came back out, and she's like, we can't be here. We stayed in a shelter. So the divorce happened, separation happened. I didn't get to see him very often. I was maybe 7, 8. And then, so they separated. It is what it is. It happens a lot. Apparently, at least it was normal.
Sure.
I grew up with that being normal.
Yeah,
My
lots
kids,
of your friends.
Yeah. I remember the day he called the house. I remember the carpet. I wrote about this experience too. I remember the shag carpet. I remember the dim lights in the dining room. I remember answering the phone and me being excited that he called the house. Because, back then on the phones, the old school phones,
Right.
they had the caller ID. I was like, oh, he's calling. And he asked to speak with my mom's boyfriend at the time. I'm like, and he was living with us. And I'm like, okay. And I handed him the phone. And that was the night that he asked my now stepdad, who I consider my father now, to adopt us. So we didn't have to pay child support anymore. I know now in my adult, that's the story I have now. So I was adopted. So I didn't really get to know and had that separation, abandonment from my biological dad, who's Native. He's full Native. So I'm half, and my mom's non-Native. Right. My stepdad is Native, but he's not enrolled. He's not enough to be enrolled in either tribe he's a part of. So I didn't really.
But you continued to live on the res.
Yep.
Then okay.
Yep.
And go to school in Omak.
Yep. Went to school in Omak. I grew up. I remember when I was in Omak my freshman year, I was called a red apple. I didn't know what that meant at the time, and I was like. And then it just didn't feel like I fit. They called me red apple because I was red on the outside and white on the inside.
I have never heard of that. And so does that also mean you were called that because you were only one of a handful of natives going to a public school? Yeah. So I don't know. I guess to me that feels surprising. If there were many of you, why would you be called?
I was called a red apple by the natives.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they wanted to somehow call it out.
I had a white mom.
So you weren't fully them.
I wasn't. I didn't. But then I wasn't. I mean, I'm very dark complected. Yeah. And we didn't have money. I grew up on commodities and low income. So I wasn't part of the other group either. I didn't really fit in. And that, I think that has brought me to where I am today in adulthood. I can jump from one group to another and fit in. That's not a good thing. That comes from my traumas, but I can fit in where I was needed. They say I can sell ice to an Eskimo. And I'm like, I learned that in childhood. I learned that because I never really fit in any group. But I could blend in and I could be part of all those groups. So it was, I didn't understand it fully at that time and how impactful those words and those things meant, how I internalized it.
Do you kind of recall what it was like to just straddle those two worlds on a daily basis?
Yeah. I wanted so bad to go to powwows. I danced when I was younger. I went with my cousins and everything. I wanted so bad to know the medicines, to know the ceremonies, to be invited to them, to know our medicine. I wanted that so bad, but I didn't have anybody to teach me. I didn't have my biological dad's family a part of my life anymore for whatever reason. I still don't know that. I didn't know who to ask, and I was ashamed. I had so much shame. For a long time, up until recently, still guilt and shame for not knowing who to ask. I wrote one time a poem about someone could have helped me. And it was about the community I was in and how nobody really reached out and asked if I was okay or if I wanted to know, or, hey, why are you all bruised up right now? Oh, nobody really in any communities I was ever in, including that one, really asked and invited me or asked if I was okay.
And what message does that send a kid?
I don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not important.
I don't see you.
I don't see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just pause for a second there? Because one thing we can do now, Naomie, is see each other. And we can give that gift. We're just going to see you now. And let there be space. Just take a few breaths. Sometimes when the adult looks back at the child that was so unseen and so hurt, it just feels, well, how does it feel? How can we bring healing or repair even? What's been your process there? I'm sure it's ongoing, as it is for most people.
Definitely ongoing. And some days I'm like, I got this. Something happens and then I get drawn back and I have to go to my toolkit again. One thing I do now, and I've learned, I have a picture of myself as a child. That little girl with the straight cut bangs and I had a smile on my face. And I have that on my phone before it all. And I look at it, and I'm supposed to look at it. This is what was told. And talk to her. Tell her she's beautiful. Tell her she's loved.
Yeah.
Tell her she's perfect, just as she is. That is something that's still hard for me, though. But I know I need to keep doing it. That's what we were talking about, that process, right? We have to retrain our brains when the wires got crossed or got ended or got burned or whatever it might have happened to those wires up. And that's what I'm doing daily now.
That's amazing. That's a huge healing process. I really love that you brought up that wellness can encapsulate this sort of rewiring of the brain. Because in some sense, that is what healing is. That is what we do when we work with professionals and we've had trauma. It is a rewiring.
Yeah.
And in that, we go back to visit the wound. We're lifting up that nasty Band-Aid, right, to look at all the shit scars, shit pain, and all of it.
The oozing,
the
nastiness.
The stuff we've wanted to keep covered for good reason.
That's how I was raised. You just brought it like, we don't talk about it. We keep that Band-Aid on it. We sweep it under the rug. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that has to do in the household I was born in, that they also had their traumas, so we don't talk about it.
It wasn't just you that had trauma. And if they lifted up your Band-Aid, everybody had to see their pain. Oh.
That's like a big fear I have, but I can't have that fear anymore because this is my healing. But I know that the boarding schools played a part in it. Those were a part of my dad and my biological dad's life.
They were both in boarding schools.
Yes, that people talk about that. And this is just stories I've heard. They've never talked about it. These are things I've heard from other people who told me. I know that played a part, and that plays a part. It wasn't that long ago. We're talking about my father figures.
1960s?
70s, 60s, and 70s. Yeah, 70s. Like at Pascal Sherman Indian School.
Where was that?
Actually, St. Mary's Mission in Omak. And that's just one of them. People are like, oh, we need to get over it. We need to move on. No, those things, like, I'm not that old.
It's still fresh.
It is. People are still healing. People are still dealing with the awfulness that did occur in that place. And the person who was like the head priest or whoever he was, they transferred him to Gonzaga and protected in there. These people were abused. And they still don't talk about it. They not only are not talking about their abuse, but they're not talking about their culture either. There's like a gap in knowledge there.
For Native people.
It has not been passed on. And and how do we not know who we are if we don't know where we came from, our identity? And that's where I've struggled with. You talked about going between both worlds. Sure. I didn't know my identity. And that didn't just happen because of me, but that happened because of what happened in the boarding school.
Yeah. Because a culture has been silenced.
Totally silenced.
Well, it was attempted to be wiped out. In essence, it was.
It has been. They're still succeeding. I'm going to be totally honest with you. They built a system to wipe out the Native culture.
Right.
in every way possible. They're like, oh, but we gave you reservations. No, you drew lines and corralled us like cows and told us what we could eat and that we could not gather and we could not hunt. We could not come together as a people like in the Wenatchee Valley like we used to, or Kettle Falls. My tribe is the Nikes. We're Arrow Lakes from Canada. The Canadian government tried to say we were extinct. No, we're not extinct. We're still here. You just drew a line in a border when we were down trading and practicing our ceremonies and everything. You drew a line and we couldn't go back home.
Oh, wow.
So we're still here. And the process of allotments, oh, but we gave you land. You gave Native people land and said, oh, here's your 20 acres. Now farm it and succeed on it and grow your own food. You can do all these things, but they did not give us the knowledge to farm. They did not give us the equipment. They did not give us anything. We did not live that way. So what did we do? In order to feed ourselves and to continue, we had to sell it.
Of course.
Just to survive. Now, oh, you're 1/4 Native. If you don't marry another Native, then you're done. Your bloodline's wiped out. You no other.
Oh.
Like my kids are 1/4 Native. Their kids will not be enrolled if they do not marry another Native. So what does that mean if you continue breeding horses or dogs? You know what I'm saying? If you're full and then you're half and then you're 1/4, eventually there's not going to be any more. So
now you're gone.
With the blood quantums to be enrolled Native, they're setting us up for
that wasn't
extinction
set by
there.
the tribes.
No.
Oh, see, that's a myth that I've always thought.
No, these are all things that were signed in treaties that
Gotcha.
still aren't respected. That still, we're still fighting for daily for our rights that were signed, treaties that were written in languages that our ancestors didn't even understand. And we're still fighting for those things today. Yeah. And again, people are like, get over it, move on. I'm like, man.
Do you hear that on the reservation too?
Yes.
Or is it just from outside people?
No, everywhere. And I get that too, because in my place right now, there comes a point where we can't keep talking and bringing up the past. Like we can't change the past.
Yeah, that's kind of a straddling too. There's so much to heal. There's so much that brokenness is still alive today, as you just mentioned. But how do you move forward today?
Yeah.
Because you're doing that in your work and also as a human.
Yes. I think that's why I'm excited for this new role where I'm at, building healthy communities.
Do you want to just say a little bit about it?
So I accepted a position with Thriving Together here in the Wenatchee Valley. I am the Tribal Engagement Manager. So I consider like the mission of Thriving Together is to advance health and well-being in North Central Washington. I consider myself a person who, again, straddles two worlds, but I'm trying to enlighten and educate so we can build bridges between those two worlds, so we can understand one another on both sides, no matter what.
Two worlds, native, non-native.
Native, non-native. And there literally is a separation.
Oh, yeah.
They drew reservation boundaries, and that has created a total separation. And there should be, in some ways, we are a sovereign nation. We have our own government. We have our own laws. We have all that. But in order to build healthy communities, those lines and those governments and all the people go both back and forth. So in order to build healthy communities, you have to work together instead of the silos or the boundaries that colonization and government has placed. We have to respect that humans are humans. And
it's like animals crossing from one county to the next. A deer doesn't care. It doesn't know. It just lives.
Yes.
Lives on the land.
Right. I thought of that, like when I drive on the reservation, I went hunting, and there's the reserve, the game reserve and non-reserve. And it's funny, they put out a dummy deer on the reserve side so that they could catch people who are shooting deer on the wrong side. Oh. And I'm like, and those deer don't know. They're like, oh, I'm going to die on this side, but I'm protected on this side. They don't know that. Just like people and their well-being. They don't know. There's no lines.
And so that sounds like a big job, I'm just going to say.
Right?
Hello.
It's like, where do you start?
Big hat. Very big hat. Is it just you doing that?
Yeah. So I served the entire Colville Reservation. Okay. So all 4 districts, which is in Chelan, Keller, Nispelem, Omak, and try to build those bridges and partners and relationships with other orgs
Yeah.
Non-native orgs or native orgs, whoever I can make connections with. And I have a huge network to help bring healing, prosperity to like the programs and the things the tribe's already doing. I try to bring in other people like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, you guys, how can I help? That's where I come in.
Support efforts that are already ongoing as well.
I will do what I can. I am the only one. There is other tribal engagement specialists in other organizations. They might not go by that title. There are.
But they're doing similar work.
Yes. In other specialties, other areas like education. I believe Washington State has laws that there has to be tribal liaisons for all USDA organizations. So whether they're fulfilling that or not, I could tell you, no, they're not, because I worked in that job previously. But they're trying. I feel like Washington State is trying to acknowledge and respect tribal lands, tribal people.
Sure. I feel like it would be super wonderful to come back to you as person again.
Well, what I heard was tools. So this means at some point you came to an aha, or someone took you under their wing and you gained some tools to use to cope. And I would imagine from there, that's how you got here now.
Yeah, I have lots of Band-Aids.
Yes.
Big ass box of Band-Aids.
My childhood was emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, sexual abuse. I endured all of it. For reasons, again, and forgiveness has happened. I've moved on. Other people are healing because I have decided to heal.
Oh, wait, I got to take a breath. I've never thought about it that way, because you've created a ripple effect. And yeah, that makes sense. If you can heal, if you can forgive, then that gives others permission to move forward as well.
Or to face the things that they've ignored for so long. I love my parents very, very much, despite all the terrible things they didn't know, just like I don't know now with my daughters, just like we talked about. Because of my traumas in my childhood and the things that happened to me, and I played victim for a long time. When I turned 18, I gave them the middle finger and said, I don't have to deal with this anymore. And I went out and I turned to drinking to cope. Lots of bad things. Even though I went to college still, I played college basketball. I got my degree. My alcoholism got really, really bad, and I ended up going to treatment. I lost a job. I almost lost my family. I've lost many friends. To this day, I'm still asking forgiveness and ask forgiveness all the time for the people I've hurt in my path of hurt. But I went to treatment, and 21 days of processing, reflecting, facing myself and what I've done in the mirror, that was a big one. I learned a lot of tools. Doesn't mean I stayed sober. When my grandpa was murdered, I went off the wagon again. I ended up going to jail. I've been sober for 7 years now, again. But in my alcoholism, in my path of up and down and healing and trying to face it, I've gained some tools and some friends and some coping skills, such as writing. I usually put my hurt down on my writing.
Yeah.
Some of my best pieces, and I haven't published it, I haven't shared it. Someday I want to. I have friends who tell me, you need to write a book. I'm like, I ran in the OMAC suicide race when I was 20, where I died twice on the way to Sacred Heart.
Oh my!
I have some stories I could tell.
You think so?
We were talking about brains earlier, and it reminded me, like, my mom always tells people when she's in her denial, and again, I love my mother, but she has her own healing, but she's like, she's so brain damaged. And the alcoholism and stuff, yeah, you're probably right. I do have some brain damage. I know that. PTSD does that to you. I'm diagnosed PTSD, diagnosed depression, anxiety because of all of this stuff. But I'm working on it.
Yeah. But you said when we first sat down that you were listening to or reading The Body Keeps a Score by Bessel van der Kolk, which is kind of the seminal trauma book or Bible, if you will, out there. And I think even though that's a really hard book to read, there's so much hope in there. And that description of that neuroplasticity, this idea that we can rewire. Come back to that again, because it wasn't that long ago we didn't have that information.
True.
We didn't believe there was a rewiring. We thought there could be healing.
Yeah.
but not in this way.
Well, we're also learning how deep trauma sits in the body.
Yes.
I mean, there's that side too.
Yeah.
And so now we have an understanding of how perhaps we can change. We can reframe in our bodies. I mean, how magical is that?
In our healing, we have to keep doing it. Yeah, the treatment that I went to, jail, sitting in jail, losing jobs, divorce, cancer, those things and those big moments have helped me reframe and rewire and refocus. And we go back to the choice again, right?
Yeah, let's talk about choice.
Could have used those. I worked for suicide prevention for the tribe for a while. I walked into a room of kids that had had suicide ideations from middle school to high school. And I walked in and I dress professional. I try to be a good role model. I walked in and these kids gave me the cold shoulder. Didn't say a word, didn't say anything. And it wasn't my community, so they didn't know me. And I'm trying to talk to them, talking circle. And this one kid is like, you don't know us and you don't know what we go through and where we've been. You don't know anything about us. You're some college educated. And he had a few other things to say.
Blankety blanks.
And I'm like, listen, youngin'. And I laid it out on the table where I came from, what I went through. Not in detail, but look, I ate the same commodity cereal you did and added the sugar, so I felt like I had Frosted Flakes. I was abused and hit, and I dealt with the same things you are, res life. I grew up this way just as you did. And after that, and they saw me, and one of them said, you gave us hope. We didn't know that about you. We just saw you walk in the room and
They read the cover of a book.
Yep. Yes.
Well-dressed woman walking in.
And that was, I started calling them hope groups after that.
Nice.
And that was something that's where I'm here today. And why I'm doing the work I am now is to show people hope that we can continue to be the blame and, oh, you don't know us or you don't know what I went through. I said those words for so long. You don't know me. You don't know what I went through. You have no idea. I felt that way for so long that I was alone. Nobody knows what I went through. I have learned that I'm not the only one. And this is not a story that is much different than a lot of people. I mean, the statistics on the reservation are scary and sad. So I know I'm not alone, but I know that me growing and me healing can set that ripple effect, can show people hope. And that's everything I do right now. Everything I do is like, we don't have to keep blaming and keep going back. We can set a policy and we can move forward and grow together. We can partner together and build this program to where we can help homeless people. We can do recovery coaching here. We're in it together. We're in this together.
You have made it to the other shore and you're just throwing back a rope. Hey, it's pretty good over here.
We literally called ourselves lifesavers. When I taught suicide prevention techniques, that's what we talked about is, there's the downstream and then there's the upstream work, right? We're standing out there throwing out, what are those circle things
Life
called?
vests.
Yes.
Lifesavers.
We're throwing those up to try to help people and drag them ashore and give them another chance. Even if it's like with me, again and again and again, mistake, give them a chance again, give them a chance again. Guess what? Maybe the next one is the one that saves their life like it saved mine. Like, why are we giving up on people?
Yeah. Back to choice. Where was the moment or the time that really landed for you? How did that power first show up?
Oh, I can tell you exactly when I changed. I used to be really quiet and shy. I told you I was a chameleon. I was a people pleaser because that's what I had to do growing up. I couldn't trigger anybody, couldn't say anything wrong. I had to be quiet and submissive, and it was always about everyone else, never about me. I worked for the county. I managed the fairgrounds and was helping with fire recovery efforts at the fairgrounds with the Carlton complex. And all the stuff was going through the fairgrounds, and I was doing that. How can I help? All right, yes, bring your injured animals. We need hay. We need fencing supplies to keep animals off the highway. We need places for people to sleep right now. They lost their homes. So I organized that, and I got in trouble. I can tell you this, that my bosses, the county commissioners, were threatening to fire me because they didn't ask permission. And I'm like, no, this is what community does.
Wow.
This is what we do. We help one another. We step up and do this.
Right.
And that moment where I figured out there is a choice where I can be strong and stand up for others and the people I know and the knowledge I know, I can be strong and I can have a voice for other people. Even though I'd been doing it a little bit in other jobs, suicide prevention, the teacher, the college prep, the gear up director, I've been doing that in my other jobs. But in that moment, I stood up and I became the loud voice, just done holding myself back, done holding it back. In 2020, I became a different person. It was after jail. It was after when I got this new job, and I became, this is what needs to happen, and this is how I can make a difference in the world. Empowerment.
Yeah, like the dam burst. And you're just like, it's Naomi land now.
Literally, it was just the big middle finger, and I'm done with all of you. And that's what I feel like.
I feel that energy.
I'm getting it, like feeling it again right now. Like, no, this is not right.
Of course, there's rules, regulations, requirements, blah, blah, blah. But you were doing the right thing. Standing up for values, standing up for community, standing up for people.
By the time you got permission, people or livestock could have died.
Oh, that happened in 2015. 100%. That carries over to what I do now too, is navigating the hurdles, learning how to navigate government restrictions, red tape, no matter what side of the river the government is on, in order to help people.
Let's talk specifically about this idea of wellness and wisdom. And I could definitely say that you've already shared some wisdom nuggets.
Oh my goodness.
Not that you use that word, but I'm going to use the word.
Yes.
I literally thought of little gold nuggets.
Yes.
While piling them in.
Please think of it that way, honestly.
You probably struck gold that moment, speaking of wisdom, had that moment of just sheer bursting open, like to your own personal power and saying, this is me, this is my choice, and I'm moving ahead in my life in this way. What would you call that? And what does it feel like in your body when is it wisdom?
I can tell you what it feels like. I can describe it. See, this is why I write, because I can describe it. I was entrapped in some invisible thing where I was being held in, all of my stuff being bounced off, all my feelings, everything brought back to me. I was just being suffocated, like a cocoon.
Oh, yeah.
And
but like a trapping one, not like a rebirthing one.
Right.
Yeah.
And then where I literally ripped it and tore it open. And I became free, and everything was like my shine, my aura was not being confined or defined by everybody else. This is now me. I feel like there was like this, like right now when I talk about it and remember it, there was this anger that I was able to release because I was so confined.
Well, there was so much trapped in there.
Yeah. And I was just like, roar. Like,
right.
I don't know. Maybe it's like the bear waking up from hibernation. That's kind of what happened. My personality and everything changed. I always say, and let me reintroduce myself. I'm Naomie Peasley 2026 version. It's not the same as
2.0.
We
it's
need
not the same as Naomie in 2019 or 2000. And I feel silly saying that, but that's literally what it is. An awakening.
Yes.
I love that.
An awakening.
That's awesome. To your true self.
The word that came to me, even before you explained all that, was just courageous. Like that was really courageous.
It was right after I sobered up again. Right after I had gone to jail for hurting a friend who was trying to get me home from the bar. It was right after that. It was during my sober time. And you can't see those things when you're drinking and drowning it. There's messages our higher power sends us. There's messages that our guardian angels send us. There's messages in this world that we are meant to see and meant to help us go down the paths that are meant for us. When I was drinking and sad and confined, I didn't notice those things. So when I really got serious about it, that's when I was able to see that path and that person I was meant to be. That's when I was able to loosen things up. And the raw moment, the awakening is when I finally sobered up and decided to change and make that choice.
Yeah. But what instruction or advice or gentle coaching would you give around like, how do you come to that moment? How do you come to awaken your own self if you're still in the dark, trapped phase?
Find something to be hopeful for, to look forward to on that day. Whether it's picking up my kid or whether it's going outside to water my horses and spend time with my horses, whether it's reading a book, whether it's being able to meet with somebody to plan a program. I find something good. And you know what I do every morning? I make my bed every morning. I learned that in treatment. And I thought it was the dumbest thing when I was there.
Yeah.
But literally, I get up and I make my bed immediately, because when I go home and go to bed, that's one thing I accomplished that day. That's one thing I can say I did that day and checked that box and accomplished. And if that was the only good thing that happened in that day, I made my bed and I have a nice warm bed to curl up in. And how blessed am I to have a bed to curl up in? Just find one thing, even in that moment, even if it's for that minute. Find one good thing. The sun is out today.
Yeah.
I have a warm cup of coffee today.
And it also feels like there's the addition of, that's how I'm caring for myself. It's not just one good thing that's totally external, like the sun is out, and that is fabulous. But some of those other things you're doing purposely to nourish yourself, or to just care for your own person.
Like a token of love.
Honoring your own self.
Yeah, I've had, especially my cancer journey, there were some dark, dark days. And I went through my cancer journey alone.
And this was recent.
Yeah, I just rang the bell December 31st of 2025. Yeah.
And ringing the bell means cancer-free.
Yeah. Still doing, there's all those after chemo side effects.
Yeah.
I had 4 major surgeries in a year that I'm still dealing with the repercussions. Cancer, as you guys know, is not fun, and it's still a lifelong journey after you ring the bell. But very dark days, like suicidal thoughts. And that was just recently, this past year. And I'm, like I said, we revert back. I revert back. I go back to those places because I forget to pick up my toolkit. I forget to do those things sometimes.
Yeah, we all do. We all
remember, we forget, but that's why we come to practices.
Yeah, and we think that this journey of healing or getting wise, or whatever you want to call it, waking up, is just a line. We think everything's linear in this culture, right? It's not.
We talked about that. There's no boxes. There's no,
It's more like switchbacks.
Yes.
On a really steep trail up a big ass mountain.
When is it done? Well, when it's done, I guess you're gone. But that's the thing, is that you want to have some progression through there too. Or what feels like, progress before you're gone.
I guess in those dark moments where I keep bringing myself out is the routines, like the making the bed, making sure I wake up and I read my scripture in the morning.
So you have faith now as a resource.
I have faith, which my grandpa instilled in me. He brought me to church as a kid every Sunday and Wednesday. I think of him all the time. And I literally, in those dark moments where I don't think I can keep going, I hear him.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing that, and that you can bring a part of your past that you've cherished to presence yourself now.
To resource yourself now. Yeah.
I always give. I'm an overgiver. Give to everyone. And when I book a massage, I have guilt for it. When I stop and buy myself a coffee, I have guilt for it. When I buy myself a new shirt instead of thrifting one, I have guilt for it, because I'm always giving, giving, giving. One of the things that I'm trying to learn is to do good for me. So that's another thing I'm doing as well.
Giving yourself permission.
But during the cancer journey, because I thought I was doing it alone, my fiance had left me right before I was diagnosed. But my community and people I didn't even know cared came out of the woodworks. And it was a big deal. I'm always like, how am I going to repay these people back? I think that all the time. And I have people telling me, stop. After everything you've done, don't. You need to accept it. I think to the only 7 seconds, the suicide prevention. Because those people, and I tell students to have a trusted adult, have people in your life that try to accept those relationships, even if you don't want to, even if you push them away, even if it feels weird to be loved or cared for. Have people, because those are the people that I got a text like, how are you doing today? Right. Or, hey, can I bring you? Hey, do your girls need anything? Those are the people that kept me going, gave me hope to keep going.
It's really, really, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Naomie. We struggle so much as humans just if we put ourselves on that one even plane of just human and say that we all struggle to receive. And wow, and when you say you're a giver, the thing about being a giver is you're banking on the fact that someone's going to receive it.
I love their face when they receive it. I love their showing, all of that.
For a giver, that's like the lifeblood.
Yes, it absolutely
is. But then the people receiving, they have their challenges. Like you're just naming your challenges with receiving. And so I love that one of your sort of tips for other people really struggling, you say, have one trusted adult, one trusted relationship, period. Someone that you can, I would even go as far as to say anything to. Yeah. And they still got you.
It's hard for me to even accept that when you said, I want to see you. Mm-hmm. Do you know how hard that was for me to even think that you guys are doing that for me right now? So again, it's daily. We have to.
We're really walking this fallible, honest, vulnerable human path. I do, though, I would love to hear what you would say about your lived definition of what wellness is.
Wellness now. Self-love.
That's big.
Acceptance. That was my word. That's all I've built up for, is me wanting to change, me wanting to be somebody else for everybody else. What do they want me as? But accepting me. This is who I am.
That was kind of the foundation at that moment of awakening.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have acceptance, you can't set yourself free.
I can't hide those things. I have to accept them. And this is who, and I know that could be a bad thing too. You don't want to be like, this is who I am, deal with it. No, accepting who I am, but also being able to change and be better and grow daily.
Accept the conditions of your current moment, your current attitude, your current emotional self, accepting your history with trauma. I mean, there's a lot of layers for acceptance.
I used to hate talking about it or deny it. We don't talk about those things. No. I also know my story has helped others so that they're not alone.
And now you got a mic in front of you.
I know. I'm here. And that's what I want people to know, that I'm here and I'm willing to help you through it. If you just need somebody to talk, you're not alone in any of this. Yeah. And send that text message to somebody you're thinking about. That could be their hope for that day. Say that, be a good human. Give a hug.
One of our other guests talked about this idea of really life is happening for me, not to me. And he talked about it in terms of moving from victimhood to sort of being your own hero. What's one or two things you think you did on that journey from between those two places?
I don't have the equation. I don't have the magic. I don't have that. I don't know. I don't have the special fry sauce here. But what has helped me get out of victimhood is that I've seen it so much. I've experienced it. I want to be better for the world, for my kids. I want to show people that we don't have to live there anymore. There could be something better. Let's build good. Let's build better. But that's mine. I want to be a better human, and I want to be my kid's hero. And I want to be that kid's hero that was outside that gym. And I want to be the hero to that person who's trying to sober up and be a better mom. And I want to be the hero to that person walking out of jail who has nowhere else to go and doesn't know what to do, and help them see that there's a better path. I want to show people that there is better. We just have to make that choice. And it could be a small choice for the day, like making your bed, or sending a text, or making that phone call to the treatment center, or to a counselor, or to the mom you haven't talked to in a long time. We all have choices.
Well, that right there, I mean, one of the core beliefs or behaviors of victimhood, in my experience, is not seeing choice.
Oh, that's
not seeing it, not believing it, or not being willing.
Or blaming everyone else. I say this when I'm in any work I do for Thriving Together, for any job I've had, for my kids. I eliminate excuses for people because I feel like everybody has an excuse. I'm not going to call the counselor because they hate me or because they're white or whatever it might be in my work, in my world. No. Okay. How do we eliminate that excuse? Here's an option. Here's telehealth. Here's an option. Here's another counselor you could go see. Right. I want to eliminate excuses in my work and in everything that I do for people to not make a choice that is for the better. That is how I see things. Eliminate excuses. What's next?
Well, the dots that I see through what you do, you've come to many stages of acceptance. And one of those is vulnerability, sharing your stories. When you share your story, you're giving another permission to belong, to have hope, to accept their story. And when you see that, is that rewarding?
Yes. That's my
like the best candy
happy. That's my light. That's my hope.
And so that's where I see cape on. You may not have the magic wand,
but she's wearing a cape.
She's wearing a cape.
I see it. And it says the excuse eliminator on the back.
Oh, I like it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. People have told me I think I'm better than them or self-right. I've been called a self-righteous B word one time. It's not that I think I'm better than anybody at all.
But you're trying to make better situations, better experiences, better lives.
That there's better choices.
And they don't see that yet.
And sometimes we can't explain it. I realize that I've talked. No, let's go. I'll bring you to treatment. Oh, no, let's go to this AA meeting. Or showing and telling them, but they have to come to their own aha moment or their own awakening. And that's different for everybody. Usually when they hit rock bottom. Mine was hitting rock bottom. Exactly. Everybody's rock bottom is different. We just have to be there to help them up when they get there or show them the tools, give them those options so they know. So
you have highlighted greatly, I can't even say how much, highlighted for me. I probably would have given up on the person that, okay, they're still drinking. Okay, she's in jail. I'm done. And you're sitting here today telling me these stories and how you've encouraged others and how you have given hope to others. And that is just incredible. It changes my mind on how I see people. Because it's about seeing people, not the actions, not the behaviors, but seeing the person.
Like that, what I read, I was that drunk person. I was the one. I was her. I was that person. And I have people who helped me out of it and people who had hope and told me who I could be, threw me the lifesaver.
Yeah, the lifesaver.
So that's what I live every day for now, is to throw that rope and that lifesaver to as many people as I possibly can. And to raise good humans. Thank you guys for this space.
Thank you.
This is healing and wellness in itself.
We feel honored to have you say that even more, just to be here and to share all that you have shared and to walk us into just your own reality, healing process, your work in the world, and you're not alone.
Yeah.
And just emphasizing that message is what we like to say on the show all the time. If we can bring in a new neighbor and have them share their story, that gives everyone an opportunity to say, hey, I feel that way too sometimes.
Gives them space to reflect and know that they're not alone in their story and that they belong.
Yeah.
And it's never too late.
It's never too late.
Again, part of my work is offering and doing those things for my community and for kids and for youth that I wish would have been there. I'm now learning my culture. I'm now asking the questions. I'm now finding those knowledge keepers so that I can pass it on to my kids and so that we can put it into our schools and we can put it in our two communities, because it's never too late to find your identity and to find who you are and to learn your culture or your background, no matter what it is. It's never too late.
Again, such an honor.
Thank you.
Live Well, Be Wise is produced and recorded by Kari Lyons Price and yours truly, Dorinda Carlson. Our music is titled Inside You by Leva, a musician and composer at Lemon Music Studio, who we happily found on pixabay.com. Our circle of sharing has concluded for today, but we'd like to give a great gratitude to you, my friend, for listening, for tuning in, maybe even tapping into that understanding and compassion and the knowing within that tells us we're not alone in our own stories. So maybe you would like to share one of your own, or know a friend or a mentor or a teacher, someone you admire that has an extraordinary and inspirational story. We all have stories. The more we share, the more we know we're not alone. And don't be shy to reach out to connect in other ways, too. Of course, we'd love for you to subscribe and also give feedback. We wouldn't be here without you. We appreciate you. Live well, be wise.